Hi everyone. So recently we have got few requests from students with respect to what is ATS score in IPMAT Indore. So to simplify the understanding of ATS, what we have done is we have taken some sample scores of the students from the exam year 2024, and we have calculated the ATS and have tried to explain what exactly ATS is and how does it actually work. Before that, let's see the formula to calculate the ATS score. So ATS is the percentage score in QA MCQ, QA short answer and QA verbal ability. The addition of all the three is the final ATS score for IPMAT Indore. Now, how is QA MCQ ATS or a QA short answer ATS is calculated? So it is 25 into candidate score minus the minimum score upon the maximum score minus the minimum score. Similarly for QA short answer and similarly for VA also. But in VA, the weightage given is 50 and not 25. For QA MCQ, it is 25 into the formula. For QA short answer, it is 25 into the formula, and verbal ability, it is 50 into the formula. The formula is candidate score minus minimum score upon maximum score minus the minimum score. Now let's look at some of the data points. So here if you look at it, the maximum score in the QA short answer section was 48. QA MCQ it is 93, and for verbal ability it is 170. This is what we have assumed the marks based on the score that we have received from our students. The minimum marks that the student scored was 12 mark in the general category because that was a cutoff. For MCQ it was 35, and for verbal ability VA it was 113. And these are the data points we have. We have few numbers, like for, let's say, for the first student has scored 28 marks in short answer, 57 in MCQ and 116 verbal ability. The total mark that a student would score is 245. Now this 245 corresponds to 61.82 ATS score. Now basically this ATS is calculated by the formula that we just saw, like 25 into 28 is candidate score minus 12, which is the minimum score, upon 48 minus 12. This is how this QA short answer percentage is calculated. Similarly for QA MCQ and similarly for verbal ability, and the total ATS is addition of 1, 2 and 3. Now the important thing to observe here is that if a student is just scoring, let's say the bare minimum cutoff 12 marks here, the student is scoring 12 marks, okay, 12 mark was the minimum cutoff, the ATS for QA short answer section will turn out to be 0. Similarly, if a student is scoring 35 marks, which was MCQ, again it turns out to be 0. Okay, so if you are just scoring the bare minimum cutoff, if you are scoring just the bare minimum cutoff, your final ATS will turn out to be 0. Also, now few of the highlighted points that that I have mentioned here. Now, if you look at the three blue colored one, the student scoring 240, student scoring 235, and another student scoring 235 marks here. If you look at this, a student who is scoring 240 marks overall, the ATS turned out to be 55.2 versus a student who is scoring 5 marks less in the overall score, let's say 235 here, the ATS can go as high as 59.86, and a student who is scoring again 235, the same marks, but a student is scoring 55.40, so ATS does not necessarily remain the same if your overall score remains the same. Correct? One thing to be observed here is that a student has scored maximum mark in the verbal ability section 170. Now because of which what happens, if a student is scoring 170 in the verbal ability, which is the highest mark recorded in the paper, the ATS will turn out to be 50, which is highest ever possible in verbal ability section, right? So similarly, let's say if you have scored a highest mark in quantitative ability, let's say you have scored a 93 marks here, then you will score full 25 marks in QA MCQ section. That is very much possible, which means if you are able to score as high as possible in one of the section, then your overall score, overall ATS will be as high as possible. For example, let's say you have scored 170 on 170, you will score 50% marks in verbal ability. And let's say you have scored only 12 marks in short answer, which is the minimum marks in short answer, and 35 marks in MCQ. Then in both the section, your percentage marks will be 0, 0 respectively. Your total ATS will turn out to be total ATS will be 50, 0 plus 0 plus 50, which means, so you scoring 170, 170 and 35 will be 205, 205 and 12 will be 217. Even if you score 217 marks, your ATS can be 50. So if I look at 50 ATS here, I mean if I look at 49.7, the total score was 245. Okay, the total score was 245. The ATS is 49.73. At 217 mark, it is possible to score an ATS of 50, which is more than 49.73. So the overall marks is not something which matters a lot. It does matter, obviously. It will help you to boost your overall ATS. More the marks, better it is. But what can be seen here from the formula is that if you are exceptionally well in verbal ability section, you can score 45, 50 odd marks on the scale ATS. If you look at this student, has scored 165. The ATS for verbal ability, percentage and verbal ability is 45, So if a student is scoring 165, 45 has already been secured percentage in verbal ability. Now, whatever you score in con, 24, 56, whatever, so 8.3 and 9 will add to 45. Your overall ATS goes as high as 62.9, close to 63. Correct? At 245, your ATS goes to 62.9. I have a score here of 245 where the ATS is still at 49.73. So, again, that what I'm trying to convey is that if you are good at one of the section, then it is very easy to boost your overall ATS, and that will eventually help you to convert the final merit list, because in the final merit list 65% of the weightage is given to the ATS score and 35% weightage is given to the interview. I am sure this information was helpful. If you need any such information about any exam or any cutoffs or any other detail that you want us to make video on, please do let us know in the comment section. We will soon come up with the informative videos for you. Till then, bye bye. Thank you. All the best.